Hey, what's up you guys? My name's Canyon. I have a 2006 BMW Z4, as you can see right here. My crankshaft position sensor went out and I replaced it with a cheap knockoff one and put it all back together and it didn't work. So we're going again with the actual OEM part, which was pretty pricey. It was $124, I believe, all for this little box. But I'm gonna go ahead and walk you through how to do it if you've never done it and help you out. Got some basic tools here: Phillips flathead. I got a 1/2-inch wrench, ratchet wrench, nippers, pliers, just stuff like that, extensions, and then just your basic toolkit and then wrench set. I've also got some deep sockets and 1/2-inch sockets over there as well. I guess we'll go ahead and jump into it. First thing you want to do, disconnect your battery. I've been charging mine because it's dead, so we'll go ahead and disconnect it from the back. Got some basic tools here: Phillips flathead. I got a 1/2-inch wrench, ratchet wrench, nippers, pliers, just stuff like that, extensions, and then just your basic toolkit and then wrench set. I've also got some deep sockets and 1/2-inch sockets over there as well. I guess we'll go ahead and jump into it. First thing you want to do, disconnect your battery. I've been charging mine because it's dead, so we'll go ahead and disconnect it from the back. All right, so the battery's in the trunk back here. Take a 10mm, loosen this negative terminal up. Take this off. Now, very important, make sure you do not close this trunk because it's electronic and you will not be able to get back in the trunk to put that back on. And my hydraulics are out right now, so I have to be very careful of this. So what I do is I'll take a cloth, put it right here where the latch is, just like that, and then I'll set it down, and then there's no way that that can lock and close. All right, back up front, we're gonna start with taking this airbox off, and then down to where it goes into your throttle body. We're gonna remove all of this right here. We're gonna remove this bar. There's 2 bolts right there to take that off. And then we're gonna have to get down under this intake manifold, and right down in there, you can't see it right now, but there's the starter. Right under that is the crankshaft sensor. So it's kind of a journey to get all the way down there, but I'll take you through it step by step. This airbox, you got these 2 clips right here. And then these back here, you have one right there, and then one right there. I think I have that one missing. Just like so. And then right here is a little hose clamp. It's a flathead screwdriver. You're just gonna grab that and loosen it. I also have a sensor right here. So basically, you can see there's this little piece right here. You're just gonna pop this under, just like that, and then pull the sensor out. And then we can go ahead and wiggle this out. All right, go ahead and pull the air filter out, set it aside. And then right in here, you're gonna have these 2 things that are just pushed through there. So all you're gonna do is pull it right out. Just kind of wiggle it, pull upwards, and it should pop off just like that. Move that out, set this aside. So once you get to this point, it's probably best to take these 2 bolts off right there to get this bar off. So both of these bolts are a 16mm, so we're gonna go ahead and get those off. Now right in here, down here we have another hose clamp. We're gonna go ahead and loosen that. There are 2 more back here that we're gonna go ahead and loosen as well. Now that this is loosened, this should just go ahead and pop off, just like that. We got that part. So once you get that out, this part you don't have to worry about right now, but we will take it off. You can go ahead and pop this off. This should just come straight up. You've got a couple things in there, make sure not to lose them. So this is just the thing that goes into it, but all these rubber pieces have fallen out on me, so pay attention to that. And then you're gonna want to disconnect this. Should just push down on it and kind of give it a wiggle. It should just come out. And then take these two little pieces off, just like that. And then we're gonna start getting this off. Go ahead and just pull up on your engine cover. Mine's really loose because I've done this multiple times. Just like that. Set that aside. So now you can kind of see your engine a lot more. Right here, you have your fuel rail electrical connectors. So we're gonna go ahead and pop these off. You have one right here, and then one right here. Just pull that off. And then this should kind of slip out of here. Those little things right there. Just pull it out. And then this kind of floats right in between your first part of your manifold right there. So we can set those aside real fast. All right, now what we can do is we can start working on these actual intake manifold bolts right here. All the way along here. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. I lost one, as you can tell right there. Dropped it right through the engine bay, right into a drain. So that's not good. And I probably should get new ones, but whatever. All right, so I've just got a deep socket. It's an 11mm. I'm just gonna go through and zip all of those off. All right, so I've got all of those taken off, and you can kind of pull this back. It might be harder for you because it's been on there for a while. Mine's been taken on and off multiple times. So that will kind of shake, so that's free now. What we're gonna do is start back here. This is your crankcase vent tube. Be very careful with this because it's most likely brittle. And what you're gonna wanna do is come to the back right here. These are a pain in the butt, but basically the idea is there's these little tabs on both sides. You're gonna pinch it in, and then it should pull straight off. But be very careful not to snap this tube because it's been through a lot of heat cycles and it's probably brittle. So let's go ahead and pinch those and pull backwards. It comes off just like that. And then it will go down there. We can kind of leave it like that for now. This is your fuel line. You can take it off right here with a little star bit. We'll go ahead and grab one of those and take that off. So this bit right here is a T25. It's a Torx 25 bit. We're gonna take this off, pull it just like that, and that'll come to the side. Now basically our goal is to pull this whole manifold outwards and then have this come over that corner so that can slip behind it. These you can just put through right here. We'll worry about those later. So that'll come off. There is a few connectors down here that you might want to take off. This is another one of those that you'll kind of pinch on both sides and just wiggle it side to side, and then it should just pop right off. And this one you can kind of fold down there. All right, so let's go ahead and take this off because this will kind of hold this in place. So this is another Torx 25. Take this out, and then I believe you're supposed to have two. I think I only have one, but either here and down here, or there is just supposed to be one. So we're gonna go ahead and take that off and then pull this whole thing out. And this is what we loosened earlier. So we can just pull this whole thing out of the firewall. Okay, so I got that part taken off, and I'm just gonna kind of wiggle it on out of here. Just like that. I'm just gonna set up the camera now and just try to start working this off and kind of explain things as I go. So when you're going to take this off, make sure to remove this right here, just like that, so that this will clear when you pull that out. All right, so just start carefully pulling it back, and it should slip off these studs, just like so. And then we're gonna kind of pull it backwards to where this fuel line right here is gonna come up over this corner, just like that. So right in here, this is your brake booster right here. Right here you have a vacuum line that comes up and starts to come in right here. You're gonna disconnect it right here. It's the same as this one, just looks like this. You'll pinch it on both sides and pull it out. And this vacuum line runs all the way through your intake manifold to right here. So you don't want to snap that. I already snapped it before and I've had to replace it. So we're gonna go ahead and disconnect that right back here. All right, so I had vacuum in there. That's a good sign. Because my brakes actually don't work right now. So I've been trying to figure out what the problem is. Just like that. So right here's your check valve. Basically what I did is I just pulled it out of this hole right here, pulled it straight out, and then I got to this, pinched it just like that, and then pulled it out. There is another one of these connectors that is really holding this down, and it's directly, there's a circle right here. It's part of the vacuum system. Right under there, I think you can see it right in there. See if I can zoom in. Right there, you're gonna wanna disconnect that the same way you disconnect the other ones, and that will kind of free this whole intake manifold up. So I showed you the one on the side, but there's actually one on the bottom of that little circle bit I was showing you. Very bottom of that thing, you're gonna wanna disconnect that. All right, so that should free that up a little bit. To the back, there is another one of these little foam pieces that you can just pull off right here. Just wiggle it off. Just like that. That frees it up even more. So now you can see the whole manifold just wiggling. What we're gonna do is try to disconnect a few other things back here, right down there. We might not even have to. Right down there is the starter. And then right under that is that sensor. You can see those red wires down there I have going into it. I soldered those myself and made a whole new clip because my clip was just destroyed. So we're gonna go ahead and get that starter taken off. This is where it's very important to make that negative cable disconnected because you can shock yourself. So what we're gonna do, disconnect the controller for the starter. And these are those wires we took off the fuel rail earlier. We're gonna go ahead and move those out of the way. Careful not to damage these. There's your NOx sensors. There's one there and then one there. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen these. Take this as the positive wire. So that is still connected to your positive on your battery, but your negative is disconnected. So nothing is gonna hurt that. Right under here is what I was talking about. Right there is what I just disconnected. And I disconnected it from right there. So, and in recent years I've replaced this starter before, but these right here are 13 millimeter, these positive ones, to get those off. So we're gonna go ahead and remove those, and then we'll have two of those Torx. So we have one bit right there, or a bolt that goes in right there, and then one bolt comes in from the back side, and that mounts the starter to the actual transmission. So we'll remove that, and then the starter will just go ahead and fall out. All right, so getting back into this starter, I believe it's a 9 millimeter. Let's find out. Nope. Go ahead and grab probably a 13 maybe, or that's a 12. Let's try a 12. So this one right here, the 12 points work amazingly on these Torx ones. So that's gonna be an 11. All right, so this is my stubby 11 millimeter. Hopefully this works. All right, that's perfect. That's the wrong way. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen this one up. All right, so we got both of those screws out, and we're just gonna go ahead and pull it, wiggle it, and it should come out just like that. So if you would like to, you can take your NOx sensor off right here so this isn't getting in the way of the starter. Everything is disconnected though, so we could just go ahead and pull this out. And that's my cat. Go ahead and pull that. Be very careful with these wires. There we go. There's your starter. Just go ahead and set that by your other parts. All right, so right under here is, I just dropped that starter bolt right there. So here is what we're after. Right there is your crankshaft position sensor. Basically tells your engine the location that it is while it's rotating. Your crankshaft has a lobe that comes out and activates this sensor to tell it when it's passing by so that your engine can know when to fire and all of that. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off. I believe that's an 8 or 9 millimeter with the, I just use a 12-point socket, and that should come off. Be very careful when you're putting this back on not to tighten it too hard because it can snap or just ruin the sensor. There's a lot of things, so just be careful with that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try a 9 millimeter. And that looks like that is too big. So we're gonna need an 8 millimeter. All right, so that's that little bolt we just took out, and then right down there, you're just gonna wanna pull your sensor out. Be very careful not to have any metal shavings or anything. Well, obviously you wouldn't have any because I was soldering right here. You're gonna wanna go ahead and just pull that whole sensor out. There is an O-ring on there, so it's kind of hard to get out, but there's that old crappy broken sensor. We're gonna go ahead and just pop that off with a flathead, replace it, and then hope for the best. Here is the part. It was in my pocket. So $122 for this little crank sensor, but this one should actually work, so we'll go ahead and throw it in there. Here is the part. It was in my pocket. So $122 for this little crank sensor, but this one should actually work, so we'll go ahead and throw it in there. So basically you're just going to want to do everything in reverse. I'll just kind of walk you through it and talk you through it so you know what's going on, but you just basically want to do all of it in reverse. Yeah, make sure not to drop your bolt down into your transmission. That would not be good. I almost did that. All right, now that that's on, we're just gonna tighten it, just very carefully tighten it to where it's snug, but where it's not gonna snap. You don't have to worry about the bolt shearing, it's just gonna be the plastic sensor that could snap. So just tighten it down to where it's snug, but not too tight. It probably has a torque specification. I couldn't find a reliable source to look it up on, and I don't have any repair manuals for this car, which I should get because it's a BMW. But I'm just doing it as tight as I think I should. I would highly suggest you do get a repair manual and look up what the torque specification is supposed to be for every bolt you take off. There's torque specs for the intake manifold bolts. There's torque specs for the actual sensor itself. There's torque specs for the starter bolt, like everything. So just make sure you're doing the right torque. I'm just doing this because I want my car to run, because it hasn't run in probably, well, it's ran, but it hasn't been actually drivable in probably over a year. So I just want it to run. All right, so now that that's done and tight, we can probably go ahead and grab our starter. All right, so my other phone just died. I don't know where I left off, so I'm just gonna basically explain it. We put the starter back in, put the positive wire onto the starter, tighten those down really nice and tight, and then right now we're gonna start getting the manifold back into position. So before we do that, we're just gonna wanna make sure that vent tube underneath is connected back to this little housing, this little box, that one that we took off right underneath. we're gonna put that back on and then make sure this fuel line is over the corner of this right here. And then you should be good to just start putting the manifold back onto the studs, and then we'll go from there. Now we're gonna go ahead and take our vacuum tube that we took off, push this right into your brake booster, which is right over here in that little hole, and then plug this back into that vacuum line that goes all the way to the end right over here. I'm gonna put this foam thing back on, that little, it's not foam, it's more of like a rubber, that little clip, just put that on right there. Now I'm putting that vacuum line, clicking that back into place. Just like that. Positive battery terminal thing fell off. All right, so that is done. We can go ahead and this little sensor right here, I'm just gonna plug that back in. It's right here. All right. And now we have, let me go grab it. We're gonna wanna go ahead and put this piece back in. This part goes towards your firewall, has a little foam air filter in it. And it's gonna go just like this. So I believe, actually it doesn't look like this is broken. So there is only one of these screws that goes into the actual intake manifold. So this slides in just like that, goes into your firewall, and then you'll screw that one screw right back in there. All right, so we got that screwed back in tight. We can go ahead and start tightening down these little hose clamps. You can go ahead and clip in your crankcase vent tube, just like so. We can put this little Torx screw back in where the fuel line goes. Now we can go ahead and put these little rubber clips back on right there. And now we're gonna go ahead and put all of our stud bolts back in. I would recommend I have them numbered from left to right, the actual studs, and then the nuts actually don't really matter. But I just wanna make sure they're going back in the same hole that they were in beforehand so that nothing changes. So we're gonna go ahead and go 1. I believe that's 4, that is 2. So go 2, 3, 4. So it helps when you're taking them out if you just number them. Put those little nuts on. And then we'll go ahead and tighten those down with that 11mm. You can go ahead and connect your fuel line clips back in. Route those through those plastic clips and plug it in. This clip right down here is going to go into the air box. This one right here that we took off, make sure to just put that back in. And that just pushes straight in. And just make sure you hear it click. All right, now we're going to grab our little air box. Not air box, just a little air tubing. Put it down there. And just make sure it slips back on. All right, so now I'm just tightening down all those hose clamps that we loosened. All All right, and I think it's time to put the airbox back in now. All right, so we're just gonna slide this down in there, just like so. Make sure this is all the way seated down on those little rubber tabs. Should be good. We're gonna go ahead and put our air filter in. That definitely needs to be replaced. And then put the top back on. And just put all those clips back on. All right, and then make sure to plug this sensor back in. Where is it at? Oh, great. Oh, we're good. All right, clip that sensor back in just like that, and then tighten down your last hose clamp right here. I think that's it. Before I start it, I always kind of run through. For example, right here, this is disconnected. This is that little clip by the oil filter that we took off. Just go through everything, make sure everything that you took off is plugged back in and or bolted back down. So make sure you have no parts that you're looking at that's just sitting around that you maybe forgot to put back in. I think I'm pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and put my little covers back on. All right, that is secure. This is definitely not, and probably never will be. That should do it. All right, now I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up my mess real fast, and then we'll go ahead and charge the battery up and then try to start it. Hopefully it fires right up. All right, so just make sure to go ahead and hook your battery back up. And I'm gonna go ahead and charge up the battery because it's been sitting forever, so I need a full charge anyways. The battery's charged up to about 80%. I'm gonna go ahead and just try to start it up real fast. Stop it. Take these off. And just pray, fingers crossed, that it starts right up. Here goes nothing. Oh my god. Oh my god, it started right up. Woo! I am so happy. Alright, so the crank sensor is working. We got a couple lights I'm gonna try to get cleared up and see what's going on, but the sensor works, so that's amazing. I am so happy. I'm gonna go ahead and clear those codes and go take it on a drive. Alright, so I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I don't normally do videos like this at all. Most of the time I've done like wedding videos and just basic stuff like that. But I'm really getting into the automotive industry and I'm working on my ASC certifications right now, so I'll probably just start doing videos whenever I have something go out, or if you guys want to request videos that you want done, I can go ahead and do that. But yeah, it looks like it worked. OEM parts all the way, I guess. They're expensive, but they probably last a lot longer than any other part you'll find. So that's it. Go ahead and subscribe if you'd like to. This is obviously my first video. So yeah, if you have any other video requests you want to do, I'll go ahead and do them. I have a motorcycle as well. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I can kind of tell you what I know. And yeah, if you have any questions, just drop it down in the comments and let me know. Thank you.